Speaker of the morning is Clay Stamp, Director of Emergency Services for Talbot County, and also serves as an Assistant County Manager. You can find his bio on the back of the program. Clay, thank you for being here today, and we look forward to your message.
Thank you, Graham. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I realize I'm the only thing that stands between you and the door, right? No pressure. So I'm both humbled and grateful to be able to share some thoughts with you this morning. I'm also grateful for God's presence in my life, and I would like to recognize my wife, Lisa, who's here with me today. And my two daughters and my grandchildren. I'm going to have another grandson next month. There's nothing more important than family, right?
Amen.
Good. I'm also grateful for our community leaders, the hard work and dedication of our community leadership, our mayor, our town council, our county council members, our state delegates, and our governor, who clearly understands the power of prayer. Over the next few minutes, I want to share some thoughts and experiences of my life journey. I grew up in Ocean City, Maryland. It was a great place to grow up, much different today than it was when I grew up. My parents were in the motel business, so we had to work hard when we were young. My sister was a laundry girl, my brothers were desk clerks, and I was the maintenance man. As a matter of fact, to this day, I recoil at the thought of cleaning a swimming pool. Just kidding, actually, I attribute my strong work ethics to those early days. As a boy, I learned to appreciate God's presence in my life through quiet times walking on the beach, especially in the winter months. My faith was about to be tested. I lost my father to a heart attack when I was 15 years old, and you can imagine this had a catastrophic effect on my life. I had to grow up quickly. My father was a charter member of the Bethesda Chevy Chase Rescue Squad, which sparked an interest in my life at a young age to get involved in the fire service. The night he died, I performed CPR on him. I was a cadet fireman in Ocean City with the Volunteer Fire Company. As a cadet fireman in Ocean City, I jokingly say that I was raised by wolves around the firehouse. But actually, they were giants of men. These men taught me important things. They taught me things like the importance of listening to your elders and learning from their mistakes and their successes. They taught me the importance of taking seemingly complex issues and stepping back to analyze them and reducing them to their simplest forms so that you can begin addressing problems and challenges. They taught me to work hard and give my best and to be dependable. They taught me the importance of being accountable and to always be respectful to others. These lessons, in combination with my early belief in prayer and understanding the importance of God in my life, served as my life's cornerstone. My dream, my excitement, and the deeper things I realized. As a young paramedic firefighter in Ocean City, I enjoyed the excitement of running into a burning building to put a fire out. Imagine that. Or climb into a wrecked vehicle to treat a patient while they were being extricated, or rescuing a person from a burning building. I enjoyed making a difference and helping others. As the years passed, I began to notice some of the mysteries of life, and I began appreciating the fact that there are forces at work each day around us that far exceed our understanding and abilities as human beings. I can remember after working so hard to save a man's life along with my teammates, and it didn't work. And as we walked out of the room, I looked back and stood there for a minute. And I happened to notice, as I looked at the person's arm, they had their wristwatch on. And I noticed the second hand was still ticking, but they were gone. And you can imagine that, what does that mean? It's triggering these thoughts. As I would look at the ocean, growing up around the ocean that provides relaxation and enjoyment for people 1 minute can become a raging force, a force far greater than anything man can replicate, and will without discrimination devour anything in its grasp. Far greater than anything that a human being can create. I remember in the fall of 1977, as a young paramedic firefighter, I was dispatched to a shipwreck. And it was a wreck of the Pauline Holmes. A tugboat had been towing a steel barge south from the New Jersey area, and it got caught in a nor'easter, and it washed up on the beach. And I was assigned to stay there at 94th Street for 12 hours and watch this barge. Not sure what I was doing watching it, but I was supposed to watch it and I was going to watch it. But I remember thinking how amazing it was to watch one wave after another hit a steel barge created by the hands of man. And I watched that barge begin to become dismantled. Again, powers that we can't understand. I had a defining moment in my life. I realized that God had given me a gift. I was transporting an elderly woman to the hospital who was very sick. She was also very frightened. After giving her oxygen and performing some other treatment, I looked at her and I put my hand on her hand. And immediately I saw her face muscles relax, and I saw a calm come over her. And I saw her pulse rate begin to decrease. As her pulse rate started decreasing, her symptoms started improving. And I realized that I had been given a gift to be able to bring calm to crisis situations. And it's truly a gift, and a gift that I am thankful for. So I prayed the prayer of Jabez. And I don't know how many of you know what the prayer of Jabez is. I won't read the whole prayer, but the basic prayer is, "Oh, that you would bless me and expand my territory, O Lord." Be careful what you ask for. My roles expanded, the doors opened. I became the first emergency manager in Ocean City, Maryland, and we put together an emergency operations plan. In 1985, as Hurricane Gloria started coming up the beach, we pulled together a group of people into our emergency operations centers, diverse people that represented organizations and agencies, and they came and brought all their tools. And we collectively worked together. They did whatever needed to be done so that we had an organized approach at being prepared. We evacuated 50,000 people. The storm came through, caused damage. Nobody died. Nobody was injured. But I realized that I was able to work with others to bring calm to a chaotic situation. The doors opened in other ways. I became a member of the Federal Emergency Management Agency's Hurricane Liaison Team, Deputy Director of EMS for the state of Maryland under Governor Ehrlich. I serve as Governor Hogan's Senior Emergency Management Advisor, and most importantly, I serve as an Assistant County Manager and your Emergency Services Director for Talbot County, Maryland. I was deployed. I'm going to share a couple stories that kind of give you pause for thought. I was deployed to Louisiana after Hurricane Katrina. Governor Ehrlich put me on a C-130 aircraft and said, go down there and find a mission. We flew into the Naval Air Station. We landed. First night we slept in a blown out hangar. Military aircraft came in one after another, KC-135s, unloading hot. So the squealing of jet engines, they were unloading materials. We went in, we found a mission, we called back, we brought doctors and nurses and emergency responders from all over Maryland, to include Talbot County, to set up 6 clinics in 3 weeks, treat over 6,000 people. But that's not the story I want to tell. The story I want to tell is about the second night when I found myself sleeping in a gymnasium with about 100 other first responders. Gymnasium full of cots. And about 3 in the morning I couldn't sleep, and I saw this lady. She had been handing out water and meals ready to eat and other things. And so I went over and talked to her. And I said, so, you know, how did you get this job? And she said, well, I've lost everything. I've lost all my worldly possessions. And tears started to run down her face. And she said, you know, I hope at some point I'm going to get enough money to get a bus ticket and go be with my family, my sister in California. I said, well, my goodness, we can come up with some money and get a bus ticket and get you to California. She goes, oh no, honey, I have a job. I have a mission. I have to help these first responders. Wow, the human spirit's an amazing thing. I found myself, I was deployed to the World Trade Center right after the collapse, September 11th, 2001. I was deployed to work for the mayor of New York's Office of Emergency Management, and I worked logistics from 5 p.m. to 7 a.m. That's a fancy word for whatever they need down there, find it. So we knew the weather was going to be bad at one point. We contacted Barnum and Bailey Circus, had to figure out how to get circus tents on a train to get to New York City. We had to reach out to 3M Corporation and find 3,000 respirators and have them flown in and figure out how to get NYPD to go to LaGuardia to pick them up. That was my job. But also part of my job, I spent down at the pile, they called it. And I remember reflecting one day, standing on a street, trying to get my mind around what I was looking at. And as I was doing that, I looked on my left, and there was a large building, several stories high, and all the windows had been blown out. It was clear that a firestorm had gone through this building. All the windows were blown out, and there were just remnants of curtains blowing gently in a breeze. And as I looked at that building, I felt an eerie feeling. I called that the spooky building. But then I looked at my right, and I saw this little church, St. Paul's Chapel, I believe they call it. I looked at it, and it looked like, in the old days, kids used to roll houses, with toilet paper and all that. I don't know if anyone remembers that. But anyway, there was paper all over it that had come out of the World Trade Center. And that church was not damaged at all. And I called that the little church that stood. And what that meant to me, as I tried to wrap my mind around that, is that what happened on September 11th, 2001, was an ultimate effort of evil with a response of ultimate good. People from all over the world came together to try to rescue, recover, and honor those people. And it was just an amazing sight to see. So I just wanted to share those two stories with you. Earlier this year, I had the opportunity working with Governor Hogan to be involved in the civil unrest in Baltimore. And as we all watched that unfold on TV, the city officials in Baltimore worked very hard to try to allow their people to express their concerns, which we as a nation should have the right to do that. They tried very hard to give them their space to do that, but as you all saw on TV, things went bad very quickly. Governor Hogan called me on the phone and was very clear and very concise, as he is, and he told me what his expectations were. Those expectations were, we have to bring order, and we have to bring order now. It was an amazing operation within 36 hours. 50 men and women working 24 hours a day. In 36 hours, we executed mutual aid agreements with 5 states and the District of Columbia, mobilized 1,000 police officers, 3,200 troops, and put them in Baltimore City. 1,000 New Jersey state troopers. I rented a hotel. 650 Pennsylvania state troopers, 300 of them in cars coming down 68 and 70 into Baltimore City. It was an amazing operation. But we all know that things aren't finished yet there. And frankly, our country is experiencing trying times, and we have serious issues. And I believe through open communication, by showing respect and through prayer, we can begin finding meaningful answers. Our forefathers thought that as well. Benjamin Franklin, during the first Constitutional Convention in 1787, after reaching a stalemate as to how states might be represented in Congress, Benjamin Franklin rose and stated the following. He said, "In the beginning of our contest with Britain, when we were sensible of danger, we had daily prayers in this room for divine protection. Our prayers, sir, were heard and graciously answered. And have we now forgotten this powerful friend, or do we imagine we no longer need his assistance? I believe God governs in the affairs of man, and if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable an empire can rise without his aid? I firmly believe this, and I also believe that without his concurring aid, we shall succeed in this political building no better than the builders of Babel. We shall be divided by our little partial local interests, our projects will be confounded, and we ourselves shall become a reproach and a byword down to future ages. And what is worse, mankind may hereafter from this unfortunate instance despair of establishing governments by human wisdom and leave it to chance, war, or contest. I therefore beg leave to move the henceforth prayers imploring the assistance of heaven and its blessing on our deliberations be held in this assembly every morning before proceeding to business." Although that motion failed to pass that day, eventually Congress adopted the practice of opening in prayer, as have many of our governmental bodies over the years. In closing, I'm honored to live in such a great community with wonderful people, and to be able to serve at the side of first responders here in Talbot County. They are second to none, and they have a difficult job. Keep them and their families in your prayers so they can remain healthy as they continue to serve you well. May God continue to bless our nation, our state, and our Talbot County community. Thank you.